This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
138 in progress. Prepare for launch in 3, 2, 1.
Let me out of here!
Yes, I know. We all have heard so much about Hale Crater and the structures on Hale that our ears are bleeding by now, but I want to point something else out on here. First of all, I've got to get this out of my system. I don't understand why nobody, well, I want to say nobody, apparently somebody believes that these are structures. But what I don't understand is why there's still anybody out there whatsoever that does not get this concept. Are they that brainwashed that they cannot actually see clear-cut structures on Hale Crater? It does not get any clearer. I mean, you could be looking down from a satellite onto the Chicago and see nothing different whatsoever than what you were seeing on Hale Crater in these images. Anybody who cannot see that has got something wrong with them, seriously. I don't even understand why anybody has to prove this. The pictures are there. There's evidence that the government or whoever has been tampering with these images is trying to hide something. And to be quite honest with you, even if these were JPEG artifacts, right, okay, let's say for instance they are JPEG artifacts, okay? Why are they trying to blur them out? Look over on the right side of this image of Hale Crater. Apparently the area that has the most obvious structures of all, that they have to completely deface this image to try to hide something from you. Okay, let's just say those are JPEG artifacts. Apparently there's some huge JPEG artifact conspiracy going on because they don't want you to see them. It doesn't make any sense. Alright. That aside, that area of the picture aside, just looking down here at the bottom, obviously these are not JPEG artifacts. Anybody with even a half a brain, okay, not even half, just a teaspoon of gray matter in your freaking head can see that these are structures and not JPEG artifacts. If you don't know what a JPEG artifact is, go Google it. Look it up. Compare them for yourself. If you still think these are JPEG artifacts, well, see you in the network, because there's something wrong with your head. Alright? Once you compare these to actual real JPEG artifacts and see what those look like, then come back to this video and continue watching the rest from there. Because apparently, if you can't see these as real images, then this next very obvious image that I'm going to point out to you is apparently going to do you no good either. I mean, I can show you a picture of a bunny rabbit right now. I mean, those of you who cannot actually see that these are real structures, I could show you a picture of a bunny rabbit, and you would think it was my left nut. Alright, you have no clue what is going on in the world. Alright, with that aside, the fact that so many people out there are so ignorant that it just takes me off and I have to get that out of my system. With that aside, let's move on. I guess you could say the rest of this video is for the rest of you who have not stayed in that deep sleep of ignorance. This one's for you. We're now going to point out a different area of Hale Crater. I know that there's a lot of you out there that have noticed this image that I'm about to show you, but to be honest with you, I've looked all over YouTube and the internet and I can't find anyone that's pointed it out. So even if someone has pointed this out already, for them, I just want to do it again just to make sure that it's out there, because this is an image that cannot possibly be explained by JPEG artifacts, or some people have said that these images are the circuit board bleeding through the photographic paper or whatever. By the way, before I do this, I also want to mention something else about JPEG artifacts. The original images that come off these satellite images to NASA, believe it or not, are not JPEG images. Alright. If you go to ESA or NASA website and you look at these images, you'll see that there are plenty of options to download these images in different forms. The two most common ones, of course, is JPEG or TIFF, T-I-F-F. The images that come directly off these satellites, first of all, I want to talk about ex-military intelligence. The images that do come off of these satellites are not JPEG images. I'm not going to take the most advanced imagery software and hardware in the world and produce images that have defects in them. I'm sure they've considered that. I mean, I can't say that NASA and them are really that smart. If they were, they'd do a better job at hiding this stuff to begin with. Even I could do a better job than that with PaintShop or Photoshop. I don't know what they're using, but they need to download something. Not that I want to. I mean, we do want to keep doing a crappy job. so it keeps the rest of us awake. Anyhow, right, completely lost where I was. The images that came off the satellites were not JPEG to begin with. Now you will notice that on the ESA website where they have all this information, these images to download, they have available images such as TIFF, GIF, GIF, JPEG, and so forth. But if you go to the Hale crater images, you'll see that the only thing they have available now is JPEG format. Well, that's obviously because they've seen our videos and websites, and they thought, wow, as long as people are falling for this garbage about these JPEG artifacts, let's supply only JPEG images. This is backup for claims, so they can't, say that these came from TIFF images and so forth. What you're looking at right now that I'm showing you is the actual TIFF image. This was downloaded long before they took it off their website. So you can only get JPEG there now, but that's okay. It's pretty much exactly the same thing as what you're looking at here. Okay, moving on to the image that I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to make this real short too, because I think I've used it enough this time. If you look here just above the center of this photo, towards the top of the main crater here, you'll notice something a little unusual, something that I don't think you or anyone can possibly explain as a possible JPEG artifact, or anything for that matter, having to do with an artificial anomaly. This here is what it looks like some kind of giant tube, possibly 30 or 40 stories high, coming straight up out of the ground, looping, going up some more, and then hooking into the side of the mountain. Now, in case you still can't see it, let me highlight it for you. Here it is again, highlighted. As you can see, this is an actual three-dimensional image. Below it, you can see the shadow, you can see through the loop, and you can see the lighting on it. I don't even think I really have to explain this anymore. I'm sure you can see it with your own eyes. If I do have to keep explaining that, if I have to convince you in any way whatsoever that this is not normal, then I suggest you go join that group that I sent off the order a little while ago, because this has got to be the most obvious structure here showing that these are not JPEG artifacts or any other kind of artificial anomaly, as if the structure itself was not enough evidence, which I can't possibly see how that's not. But anyway, I would like to invite anyone out there, whether you're a newbie, a nut, or a scientist who's been studying this stuff for years, I'd like to invite any of you to come forward and explain to me exactly how this object here would be possible using any accidental or artificial means, or anything that would basically not show it for what it is. Maybe some of you have to hypothesize as to what this is too. I'm thinking maybe some large tube that's pumping water or something there out of the mountains, so that this civilization down there might actually have water. Okay, one more thing I'd like to add. This civilization down here, people say, well, okay, even if this was an actual civilization or structures, they could possibly live there now. Maybe this is ancient civilization from when this planet was still, thriving, or still looked like Earth. Let me just ask you one thing: how is this possible? Taking a close up of the image, I'm sure you can see that these are pretty well intact buildings and so forth. Okay, let's just say that we can't say that for sure. All right. Now, even if they were destroyed, all right, the fact that they're there in a crater should tell you something. All right, maybe this planet was destroyed at one point. All right, and all these craters, they got hit by meteors and everything else, and they ended up with all these craters. And they explain to me how an entire city got inside of one of the craters. I don't understand that. And you would think that if this was a civilization long before the planet got destroyed, then the city would be somewhere not in a crater, but out here where you don't see any craters, or near some area that might have had water at one time. But this is evidence, if in fact you can see your way through the blindness to realize that this is actual structures on Mars. The fact that they're inside of a crater tells you that this entire civilization, was created after the destruction of Mars.